Hi guys, how you doing? Our Nortec staffing division has been approached a lot lately for companies who are looking to recruit their new sales directors, their marketing kind of strategists, because a lot of companies at the moment are very conscious that when they're looking to grow or even just survive in the kind of current recession, the ability to have much wider impact across the group to kind of help do what their current sales and BD team do but do it even better is a real kind of big thing. And especially if you're a 20 million, 40, $100 million company, the impact could be quite massive from some kind of marginal gains. So pretty much we've just had the Rio Olympics and the British cycling team have had incredible success through really trying to tweak things that make 2% difference here and there and kind of showing the impact. So something I was very keen on for this video is that of the 7 things which I'm going to hopefully try and explain, I've also tried to quantify them in the effect I believe that they'll have. And please, if you disagree, comment below. If you think I've missed something, if you think it's good, please comment. And yeah, so these are the kind of the 7 things that I think will make a big difference to hopefully increase your sales by circa 50 to 100%. Just before I kind of jump into the 7 things, one thing I wanted to touch on, I'll put up a graphic which will hopefully explain it. But most companies only actually trade and sell themselves based on a functional spec of what they do. So they will try and say that we can do this cheaper, we can do this faster, we can do this better. But actually what the real top companies do, Apple do it, Coca-Cola, Sainsbury's, when you can actually transition your company from selling your functional product, which is what everyone does, to really transcend that to cover more emotional factors to help your client, the people you speak to, achieve their aims, help show wider impact in the community. I'll put some graphics up to kind of show this, but this makes a real huge difference. So when you start to communicate smarter, and I'll go into the 7 things which show into more detailed, quantifiable kind of impacts, but really kind of be aware. Top tip is that I spoke to a company recently who everyone has visions and values, but the one thing I always bang on about is so what? So you say that you have these 6 visions and you are trustworthy, you are whatever it is. You have to prove it. You can't just say, look, we care about the community. Prove it. What have you done? How does it work? And really when you start to craft this together, if you have a very clever comms and marketing strategy, what you can start to do is raise awareness of the company as a whole, but in the right way, that it's not salesy, but actually you help to achieve improved understanding, liking, awareness, which I'll touch on later. But actually I wanted to kind of show this so that you can kind of have a better look and let me know what you think. Okay, so the first one is awareness. Most companies will, of course, they do marketing and they go out to trade shows, they do what they do. But I actually think if you start to do things better, if you start to use social media, LinkedIn is a huge one. Video, this kind of proves it. But actually, I think you can have a good solid 5% increase in awareness through changing how you do your marketing strategy. That could be email campaigns. The trick is how you make them good. Anyone can just spam, which is the worst thing you can do. But actually, I think through increasing awareness, using social media, through traditional networking channels with your membership buddies, I think there's a good solid 5% there, which can make a real difference to any company looking to grow. Okay, so you've gone through, you've created some of your nice pictures, your images that give you a real feel for the company. I'll kind of show some of ours just to get a feel for the kind of things that we've done. But actually, it's one of the major things that I think will make a real tangible difference is that for your BD team, your sales team, one of the key things is your engagement with clients, but also your ability to set up meetings. I think if done well, you can actually increase your response to emails by circa 5 to 10%. So actually, it doesn't always have to be a sales email, it doesn't even always have to be about the company. But actually, if you start to talk about things that you're doing, social media events, how it links in with Great British Bake Off, whatever it could be, I've found personally that actually a lot of clients who you'd previously kind of chased and they weren't really responding, that little kind of gentle nudge which is done in the right way can make a huge difference. So I personally think 5 to 10% impact through your response to emails can make a big difference. As an example, if you think that's a bit much, imagine you email 100 people, you generally get a 50% response rate, if that. It's not a huge jump to jump from 50 to 60%. If it's done well, it's done properly, but actually it's good, solid, quality content. So definitely your kind of awareness, but the interaction and the ability for your sales guys, your BD guys to get through those extra doors, I think makes a real difference. Okay, the next one is to do with a client's understanding of what you actually do. This is something which you need to be really honest about yourself, because often, and actually it takes someone who knows you pretty well to say, actually Steve, I don't quite get what you do, the group's quite broad, how does it fit, how does it work? And again, there are very marginal gains, but actually significant gains you can do with this. That if you have a new division, a new product, a new suite of how different groups interact, and actually you might have 4 divisions and there's a new service division which launches, the ability to really get the client and get the audience to understand how it fits, what it works, what it does. I think if you've done communicated very well, you can actually have huge gains here. For my kind of statistics, I've kind of guessed a 10 to 20%, which again, if you're being honest, the one thing that I always try and look at is that most people, and you know yourself, if you get given a new brochure, you'll flick through, you might give it 10 seconds. You might, if you're lucky, give it a minute. So when you actually look at your comms and marketing, the things that you produce, you really need to kind of switch away from just block text. Nobody reads text anymore. People watch videos, they don't read text. But likewise, you want to be able to get across your main key points. Literally, if someone gets the brochure, flicks through, okay, puts it down. So you really want to kind of be aware of it, but actually people's core understanding of what you do is really important. 你好吗?我会说一点中文. Language is hugely important. When you are looking to trade and work in different countries around the world, both the ability to communicate in the native language is hugely important. Be that written, spoken, but actually cultures, values is massively important. Classic thing to check out is actually if you look at your text. I started learning Mandarin 7 years ago. Long sentences, paragraphs, nah. You want to keep it short. This is where the graphics come in. I'm really trying to make it as easy as possible to do business. Language, hugely important. And likewise, I've also seen a few companies that have a Google Translate automatic translator on their website. I know from experience they don't work, which is perhaps a hard lesson, but I would much prefer that you make the slight change but actually really reap the benefit. Classic thing to look at is Arabic. So when we've done business in the Middle East, again, they read right to left, not left to right. So although Google Translate will change the characters, sometimes the words, the sentences don't make sense. So definitely language, a real understanding of what people do. And just as a quick plug, there's a lady called Norma Foster who is excellent at international communications. Definitely speak to Norma if you want to find out more. Okay, so we've looked at awareness, we've looked at language, we've looked at a few different things. One of them is all to do with local culture and values. When we expanded to the Middle East, we really kind of looked at what is important to them, what is core to their kind of prestige brands. Falconry is hugely kind of important to them. So what we did when we created the Derby Nautic brand is really trying to embrace that. So both partnering with a very prestigious sheikh, part of the Derby group, but likewise really embrace the culture. When you're looking for your next sales strategy marketing director, you really have an awareness and experience of working with different cultures around the world. It makes a huge difference. I estimated it at kind of 5%, give or take, which I think is a good shout because, again, if you're honest, you could be sat in the Middle East, you get 100 brochures, you just want to stand out. So as an engineering firm, especially service business, we have huge competition to kind of stand out. So again, it's these marginal gains that you have a pile of techie brochures. Little things like falconry or your imagery and your branding actually make a big difference. So definitely your local kind of culture, awareness, definitely worth looking at. Okay, next, this is an obvious one and you'll know it's true, it's just proven it, it's very hard to kind of work around. But basically, if a company or if a person likes you, they will do business with you. If they don't like you, they won't. Certain companies I've spoken to worry that sometimes they might have, people have an impression of what they are, what they're about. Are they, do they work with the client? Are they confrontational? How does it work? In my opinion, it's the sales director, it's the comms and marketing strategy linked with business strategy of how you can address this. Lots of ways, which some more simple than others, but actually if you really kind of let the market know how you do care, you work with local charities, it's the good causes, it's the proof of the pudding, it's not just kind of saying that you do this, it makes a big difference. That again, if you're looking for marginal gains, we know ourselves now, I've been in that position where 2 companies on the table, both the same price, if the person who is in control of the tender likes you more, or even more so, if it's a piece of work that won't even come out to tender, it might be under a certain threshold that the project manager, could be anything, can actually issue anyway. If they like you, you get the work. If they don't, you won't. So actually, there's a lot of things that often that comes down to personalities, but actually it should be in the remit of the sales director, marketing strategy director, senior board member to really kind of sculpt the business, the look and feel of the business, how it works. And actually, if you multiply that out across a group, I think you can get a good solid 5% increase in sales through the way and what people think about a company. Okay, last but definitely not least, the one thing which I think is arguably the most important thing that you could possibly look at, it varies on the size of company, but you'll kind of get what I mean, that traditionally companies can be split up so they have business strategy. You have your senior managers make strategic decisions about the business, who you are, what you do, where you go. You will have a comms and marketing manager maybe an assistant, who will be told, here's our brochure, make it look pretty, or can you manage the interface with the designer? And often those two, although they get some direction, because what you really want is someone with experience of both. So it's an experienced senior manager who really gets a good feel for comms, marketing, design, that kind of thing. So it's really kind of meshed the two, it makes a big difference. Next you have the next kind of silo, which is your BD and sales. These are often your client interface. And actually what, again, you want, it's the listening, to listen to the client's day-to-day needs. What do they actually need? Sales should never be about saying, look, we make this valve, do you want to buy it? It should always be a two-way street to really kind of listen, what are your needs, how does it work? That should feed all the way back through to the comms and marketing and again to the business strategy. And actually, if you can get a very good, solid pathway, it could be one person if you're a small company, it could be a very close-knit team. But the ability to impact across a group is massive. And I think it's a good solid 10% impact through actually being able to listen to the client need and adapt the product or service, and even the company strategy for how you tackle it can make a big difference. One example we've done recently, it was to do with one of our big competitors, big international group, closed a local office. So we really kind of made the effort within 2 days to do a big campaign to show that we're local, we're good, we're friendly. If you need someone down in an hour, we can do that. And actually, but do it in a way that isn't pushy, it's not salesy. But that kind of interface between your senior management, because you need the weight to really kind of make it happen. The comms, the marketing, the design, the videos, to really be slick enough that it works. But likewise, the interface between the coal face, the sales managers, the BD guys, both to get their buy-in to what you're trying to do. But actually, it needs to be one kind of unit. If you're part of a group like Nautica, it becomes so much harder because then often some companies have multiple divisions that are all replicas of each other. If you really want to try to kind of take control of a group and multiply these benefits out, it's very doable, but you need a good solid sales director, strategy manager, whichever title you choose to give it, to really kind of control that and get the best for your company. So my name's Steve. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch. Nortec Staffing are definitely there to help you recruit your next kind of top people. And likewise, what are your thoughts on comms strategy, how you link that in with business strategy, sales, BD, the whole shebang? I would love to know your thoughts, and let me know what you think.